Good morning, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Outlook and discussion for Thursday, August 9th, 2012. We'll start off looking at the wide Atlantic Basin shot. Here is Invest Area 92L, moving off generally to the west and west-northwest with time. Could impact the Lesser Antilles over here in the next few days. Will it be a tropical cyclone, i.e. a depression or a storm by that time? We'll have to wait and see. This is the leftovers of what was once Tropical Storm Florence. There's Bermuda right there, so it's well to the southeast of Bermuda and obviously far off from the Florida coast as reference points. Then we have Ernesto here in the southern Bay of Campeche, about as far south in the Bay of Campeche as one can get, and it is about to make landfall if it hasn't already. The center of circulation just about on land here. Still fairly deep convection associated with it, even extending with this upward motion down into the what's called the Gulf of Tehuantepec down here on the Pacific side. So lots of moisture, heavy rainfall. The winds will start to die down rather quickly because once this circulation gets over land, especially the rugged terrain, and you can see this milky color in here, a lot of this is because of the high elevation, the infrared satellite picture picking up the colder temperatures of the mountainous regions of Mexico. And that does extend down through here, and Ernesto will run over that higher elevation, and it'll get shredded, hopefully enough, to wring it out quickly and keep it from becoming a major flood threat for this region, and then we can be done with Ernesto. But for now, still a problem, obviously, for southern Mexico here, and it's going to take it a day or two to finally die away. Looking at 92L out in the tropical Atlantic, I think you can tell just by looking at this that it's sort of lopsided. The north part of the circulation, dry air still in control, a very stable atmosphere. The convective band that's coming in here limited to the south side. This does have potential to develop, but not much. I haven't seen anything, especially in the dynamic models. And those are just more sophisticated models with a lot more information and different graphics that get output and input that gets put in from data. That's probably the subject of its own blog post and video update someday. The difference between the dynamical models and the statistical models, which are much more simplistic. The dynamical models, I think the best way to put it, they are much more complex and they have a lot more data ingested. Therefore, they have a better resolution overall. And the dynamical models not showing 92L becoming too strong. And a lot of that has to do with this dry air that still persists over the tropical Atlantic. Looking globally, there's a lot of areas showing up in this light blue color throughout the tropics. As we move through August, you would expect to see that. With the exception of Ernesto here and this tropical storm that has made landfall in China recently, no major cyclones anywhere in the world affecting land areas, so that's good news. I think one of the things that's going on in the Atlantic, if we look at the vertical wind shear, the black line here is your climatological average. This is where it should be, at least climatologically speaking, this time of year. And then we see where we are in reality, the blue line. So we're below just a hair wind shear wise. So in other words, the change of wind speed and direction with height in the atmosphere, the wind shear is a little bit lower than the climatological mean. And so that's favorable for development in the tropical Atlantic. However, vertical instability remains absolutely pathetic. The ability of the atmosphere to be unstable and to create convection efficiently just isn't there. This is the climatological mean, and you can see we're running well below that even today. And we've been that way all hurricane season long. There's never been a time once we started the hurricane season where vertical instability has even been climatologically where it should be. In fact, it's been running below normal ever since we got things started. And if we look at the Caribbean, wind shear in the Caribbean, right there, just a little bit above normal. It has been quite a bit above normal as of late, but there's been a few periods where it's been below normal as well, so that kind of averages itself out. You get these peaks and valleys, but here too, vertical instability, very, very much below the climatological norm for this time of year, and that might be what's going on. Now, why is the dry air in this stable layer. It's almost like a cap out there. I don't know the answer to that. That might take a pretty good deal of research to look into. It could be because of the El Nino growing in the Pacific, that you have this warm, stable layer of air that gets spread out across the Atlantic basin. I don't know. That would be an interesting topic for somebody out there with perhaps the resources to look into that, to check it out. Because there's definitely a lid put on things right now. You know, it might be that it's still fairly early. We're only at August the 9th. Typically after the 15th of August is when we normally expect to see an increase in tropical cyclone activity and intensity, and we're still almost a week away, a little less than a week from that, and that might be part of it. Just climatologically speaking, the pot is not quite ready to boil, so to speak, and that might have something to do with it. So we'll check these different graphs over time to see what happens with those different parameters. In the eastern Pacific, a quick look there. Gilma is a hurricane, but it's going to head out towards colder water here and die out, and that won't be an issue for land areas at all. And then we have this one area down here. I think this was 93E for East Pacific, and it is lowering. It was at 30% or maybe more recently, and it's now down to just 20. And then here's Ernesto, which might, I think it has a very slim chance, but slim's better than none, I suppose. It has a little bit of a chance to come across and at least get some of its circulation over the eastern Pacific, and it might develop again there. If it does so as an identifiable entity, well, either way, no matter what happens, if something develops here, it'll get the H name for the eastern Pacific, but it wouldn't be Ernesto proper. It would actually take on the very next name in the East Pacific. So there you go. You're up to date on the tropics today, August the 9th, 2012. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth for HurricaneTrack.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll post another video blog like this one tomorrow.